Welcome to
Yeah.
the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here, but I'm not gonna lie. I was genuinely surprised in like such a fun way watching this movie because I've seen you kick ass in a lot of films. All right, I've seen you act your heart out in so many films, but I don't know why. For me, this movie felt like a culmination of everything coming together. You know, it was Halle Berry the fighter, it was Halle Berry the actress, it was Halle Berry, feeling pain, showing moments of joy. It felt like it was a culmination of a lot of just you as a human being. Congratulations on your directorial debut. What was that like?
Thank you. Wow. It's funny you said that because you know what? I felt that way too. And being at the helm and being in charge, I could put all of that into the movie. I could play to, not only my strengths, but to the strengths of all the characters,
I can only
in the movie,
imagine.
all the actors. So, yes.
This story has such a fascinating beginning. This was a story that wasn't originally written for you.
No.
It went out, I think it was to Blake Lively, and people were like, oh, it's this Irish Catholic white woman, and it's going to be the story of this 20-something-year-old scrappy UFC fighter. And you saw the story and you said, I think there's a different way to tell this story.
Yeah, and the idea came because I desperately wanted to play this character. I love the fight game. I've been a boxing fan since I was a kid. I was now, when I got this script, an avid MMA fan, especially of all the women in the sport. So when I read it, I thought, this is the kind of role that I would kill for.
I love
It's
that.
meaty, it's juicy, I get to use all of my physicality, except it wasn't written for someone like me. So that was the impetus for reimagining it. And I told my agents, if Blake decides not to do this, can you please let me get to the producers and give them my pitch on how and why I think a reimagining would be in order. And for me, I felt like based on where we are in the world and, Time's Up and Me Too, and where we as Black women and Black people are arriving to, it's time that we get a chance to tell our stories from our own point of view through our lens. And so I said, if we're gonna remake a fight movie, they've been made by the greats, some of the best movies, Rocky and Fight Club and Million Dollar Baby. If we're going to redo it, the only reason to do it is to have a fresh new point of view, something we've never seen. And we've never seen it, a Black female fighter, but especially from a Black female director.
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
So it was new. There was a reason to do it.
Yeah, and you know what? It also feels like it comments on so many things. So as a fan of UFC, I'm sure you know what it feels like on the inside. I've talked to some of the female fighters in the UFC where they go, man, we feel like we have to be so much more brutal to get acknowledged. We have to feel like we have to fight so much harder to just maintain our spot in that octagon. And they do get the respect, but they really, really, really have to work towards it. And it feels like it's no different in Hollywood. Is that a woman in Hollywood, especially a Black woman in Hollywood, you have to fight so much harder to be recognized. You have to be, everyone would think Halle Berry wins the Oscar, and then it's like, this is it. It seems like it's like, oh, this is going to be the end of your life. You get to do whatever you like, but you've had to continue working hard to fight for what you want to do in the industry.
True. One of the big misconceptions was that when I won that Oscar, that somehow the script truck just backed up to my front door. Like, no truck came. My fight didn't really get any easier. I still had to face that I was a Black woman in an industry, and there was no real way for me that had been paved. I had to figure that out for myself. And as with fighting, Shannon Knabb, who runs Invicta, the all-female league, she told me that having her female fighters, when she went to a venue, she would have to pay to come to the venue, where with the male fighters, they would pay them. So it is indelibly harder for women across the board, and especially in the fight game.
The movie was, it's brutal is the best way to put it. And it's brutal in the way that life is brutal, is the way I see it. And I couldn't help wondering, as Halle Berry, the actress, have you often felt like, man, you're always fighting to keep your career where you want it to be, as opposed to letting people decide when and where you're done? Because you come from a generation where, let's be honest, they would go, you're 40 and it's over for you.
Yeah.
So many actresses talk about that, 40 and done. And now it seems like the fight is working and changing that perspective.
Yeah, theoretically, I should have been done a decade ago.
Damn.
So, but I do feel that. And as a woman, I do feel like that. I have to keep fighting and keep reinventing and keep, proving that there's still, more left for me to do. And I actually feel that there's more left for me to do. I'm still inspired by this career, by this craft. I still love what I do. I want to keep challenging myself and keep growing. I want to see how long I could stay in this physical shape and do these kinds of movies.
Right.
That's the joy of it. I want to try new things. I want to take new risks.
How long can you stay in this physical shape? You broke how many ribs during this movie?
Two.
2 ribs broken in this movie.
Yes.
I remember distinctly, because I'm a big fan, John Wick, you broke ribs as well. 3 ribs.
3 on that. So I'm getting better.
I mean, I guess it's still
Next one
5
will just be
ribs.
one.
It's still 5 ribs in total. There's a lot of ribs. Same ribs or different ribs?
Different ribs. Because
Okay.
here's the thing that I would like people to know. It's not just, oh, Halle Berry always gets hurt. When you are a performer that does your own stunts, that's par for the course. Every stunt man, stunt woman, usually on every film, gets hurt in some way. We don't hear about it because they don't talk about it and the public doesn't
yes,
really care.
okay.
That's their job, right? So when a performer gets hurt, it becomes a big deal because most performers don't do their own stunts. So they don't get hurt. So I sort of get this bad rap of always getting hurt, but I always demand to do my own stunts. I
Yeah, but
always face that challenge.
in this film, it wasn't just doing your own stunts. I mean, with John Wick, they post-production. This film was a smaller, independent film. You're
Yes.
directing it, and you decide, I've broken the ribs. I'm going to keep fighting in the movie. I mean, I can barely carry on if I've like stubbed a toe. I'll be like, let's pause production for a while, guys. Let's chill.
But you're a man.
That's true. That is true. I have bigger toes. That's
we
what you're
have
saying. We
babies.
have more toes.
Women have higher tolerance for pain.
Yes.
That's why we have the children and you guys don't.
That is very true. But I think of it as like, man, Halle Berry's a badass. I go like, you're breaking ribs. You know, you're in these fight scenes. You're doing these things. Like you had to learn how to fight again for this. You learned martial arts for X-Men, right?
A little bit more for Catwoman.
Yes.
I learned capoeira for Catwoman.
Like capoeira?
Yes, capoeira, yeah.
Wow.
Brazilian, yeah.
Okay.
I learned that because that was all a part of bringing that cat. It was low to the ground. It was sinewy.
Okay. What else? What other martial arts?
I did boxing and kickboxing, but for this, like the jiu-jitsu, the taekwondo, the judo, the wrestling,
It's terribly
Muay
hard.
Thai.
Jiu-jitsu is so hard.
So hard.
It's just like all clothes and fingers and like getting knocked in the face. Why would you do this?
So, because it's so fun. It's also so fun. And I was a gymnast as a kid.
I didn't know
so,
this.
yeah, I was supposed to be Simone Biles, but Simone became Simone, not me. That was my dream, to go to the Olympics and win a gold medal someday.
Oh,
in
you never.
gymnastics.
That could be your next film. You never know. Or you could make a film with Simone Biles.
Really?
Just bring the whole story together.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
I could be the oldest woman to win a gold medal.
Anything can happen in this day and age. Your story is one that you're continuing to write. What did you love about directing that was different? Because you've been on this side of the lens for such a long time. There must have been something new that you discovered that you loved about being on the other side of the camera.
I think what I loved most was that I got to have this idea in my head, and I got to shape it and form it and reshape it and reform it, and I got to sort of bring to the screen pretty much exactly what I had in my head. And I was worried that I wouldn't be able to do that because we had such a low budget.
Right.
And while my days kept getting cut and I kept losing money left and right, it's hard in the independent world. What I loved was that as a Black woman, I got a story out of my body that was true to my gaze, that was true to my community, it was true to my race, to my sex, that all of it felt like an amalgamation of all the 3 years that I worked on this. I got to tell a true point of view about a sport from a female point of view. And had I not been myself, I don't know if that would have happened, because I loved the sport and I also loved the drama of it at the same time. So I tried to put equal emphasis on both elements.
Well, I'll tell you this. You did a fantastic job.
Thank
I
you,
think
Jeff.
you had a lot of fun making it. It's a lot of fun watching it. And thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, people, Bruised is in select theaters right now and will be available on Netflix November 24th.